Parijana Saitam Krishna Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So first of all, I would like to welcome all of the devotees present here in this Upadesamrita class. Actually, yesterday I didn't get so much time, so that I didn't get time to upload the video recording of the last class. So tonight, maybe tomorrow, I will upload the recording of the last class and today's class to the YouTube. Okay. So in the prior classes, we discussed the very first two verses of Sri Upadesamrita. And I would like to ask someone who would give a summary about what was discussed in verse 1 and verse 2. So, because since this is a reading class, or we are going to discuss, so I will ask Tanuja Mataji, please give a synopsis or gist of what we discussed in verse 1.
Okay, Prabhuji. Whatever I remembered, I'll say that one. If I'll forget something, then please forgive me.
Sure.
I'll give you just the summary. In that first two verses, Guruji said that we have to live very simple, and we have to think very high. I forgot the exact word.
Plain living and high thinking. Simple living and high thinking.
Yeah, simple living and high thinking. In that case, we have to follow some procedure principles, like we have to not steal anything from anyone. We have to we don't have to lie anything. Then we have to do some kind of we have to always do the activity which we involve. We have to always keep thinking about Lord Krishna, and Prabhuji, I remembered. I cannot explain the light.
Yes. So basically, in the very first verse, Sri Rupa Goswami, he discusses the qualifications of the spiritual master, because to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master is the very first step in our spiritual life. So that's why, in order to take shelter, we need to know the qualifications of the bona fide spiritual master, and so that we can differentiate. Am I audible?
Yeah, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Yes. So that we can differentiate who is a bona fide guru and who is a bogus guru. So that's why one who has controlled his mind and senses, vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jivva vegam udaro pastha vegam etan vegan yo vishaheta dhiraha sarvam apimam prithivim sashishya. So Srila Rupa Goswami is giving the qualification that one who has controlled all these urges, one who has tolerated all these urges of mainly the bodily demands and the demands of the mind. Okay. So one who has control, then he can make disciples all over the world. Sarvam api mam prithvim sashishya. Okay. So he can make disciples all over the world. And it is very important that in order to progress in our spiritual life, the very first step that is that we control our mind and senses. It's compared to a runway, where the plane, first of all, he runs so that it can pick up the right speed, then he can, take off. Okay. So similarly, that runway is compared to that runway is like the controlling of our mind and senses. And when we control our mind and senses, automatically then Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita that dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti. The rest of the knowledge is given by the mercy of Lord and spiritual master. So in this way, the remedies or the solutions to control the urges of mind and senses is being described by Srila Prabhupada in the purport. Prabhupada is writing that we need not to follow so many Ashtanga yogic process and other Sankhya processes to control our mind and senses. But it's very easy if we just dovetail all our senses and mind in the service of the Lord. Automatically, all our senses and mind will be controlled. After describing the process of controlling the mind and senses, which is a aspect of surrendering process, anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjana. So there are 6 processes of surrender, and among one of the processes of surrender is that we have to reject all the unfavorable things in bhakti. And in the first verse and second verse, the unfavorable things are being said. Okay, so what are the unfavorable things? That we have to control our mind, we have to control our senses, we have to control the urges. Okay, and because if our senses and mind are not controlled, then we cannot advance in spiritual life. We cannot start our spiritual life. Okay. Now, in the second verse, also, the 6 unfavorable things are mentioned. What are they? Atyahara prayasascha, prajalpo niyamagraha, janasangascha laulyamcha, shadpir bhaktir vinashyati. Okay. So we don't have to tell that pure devotional service, it's pure. Okay. It's beyond the modes of nature. So pure devotional service cannot be, destroyed in the sense that its Svarupa or its nature cannot be destroyed. But the devotee who is performing pure devotional service, who is trying to execute devotional service, these are the 6 unfavorable things through which pure devotional service cannot be cultivated. Okay, so these 6 unfavorable things are mentioned in the second verse. And in the third verse, Rupa Goswami is going to explain the 6 favorable things to the execution of pure devotional service. So just as a physician, he will tell, okay, these are the things which have to be prohibited. These are the things you shouldn't take. Otherwise, you will fall sick. And after telling the prescriptions, after telling the prohibitions, the physician tells what are the things you have to take. What are the medicines you have to take? Okay, so that's what Rupa Goswami is, our spiritual physician. Now the soul is thinking that this body is mine, and whatever is connected to the body is mine. So this is the misidentification the soul has acquired. Okay, so that misidentification, to remove that misidentification, the processes or the remedies are given in the Upadesamrita. Okay, so Upadesamrita is a manual guide for human life, just as a Bhagavad Gita is there. So similarly, to cultivate bhakti, what are the unfavorable things and what are the favorable things, they are mentioned in Upadesamrita very specifically. Okay, he lists all the things and he clarifies what are the aspects which are actually favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. Now, in today's class, what we are going to do is we will discuss this verse 3. Okay, not that only I will speak and you will hear, but rather you will also sometimes speak. You will also share your points. You will also share your realizations and tell some insights on this verse, so that it will be like a discussion. Okay, we are trying to study Srila Prabhupada's purpose. So in that way, today's class will be held. In the verse 3, the 6 principles which are favorable to the execution of pure devotional service, they are described. So they are Utsaha, Nishchayat, Dhairyat, tat tat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato vrittehe shadbir bhakti prasidhyati. Okay. Trisha Mataji, Trisha Sharma, you can read this, the translation of this verse.
Okay, Prabhuji. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. 1. Being enthusiastic. 2. Endeavoring with confidence. 3. Being patient. 4th, acting according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu,
Smaranam.
Smarnam.
Yes.
Hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5th, abandoning the association of non-devotees. 6th, following in the footsteps of the previous Akriyas,
Acharya.
Acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service.
Thank you. So here, Srila Prabhupada has translated this word prasidhyati as undoubtedly assure. Okay, undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Not just only as a, of course, he has in the beginning of the translation, he has described as favorable things, they are there, but also he has added up that these 6 principles, they undoubtedly, there is no doubt about it, assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Okay. Now, what does this verse tell actually? I would like to give a, first of all, some synopsis or some type of overview in a purport what Srila Prabhupada is talking about. So this text explains the impetus to perform bhakti. The impetus to perform bhakti. What is not bhakti? First of all, Srila Prabhupada will explain what is not bhakti. Okay. Then second is what is bhakti actually? What is devotional service? Then third is, after understanding what is not bhakti, what is not the proper meaning of devotional service and what is the proper meaning of bhakti, Prabhupada is explaining that how to perform bhakti, how to perform them. Now we have got the meaning, we have understood what is bhakti. Now the process of performing bhakti is being described. Then Prabhupada is going to explain why we have to perform. What is the reason? Why do we have to perform? Why don't we follow karma process or jnana process or any other processes to achieve success in life? After explaining the reason or the uddeshya why we have to perform bhakti, Prabhupada is explaining the qualification of the practitioner of bhakti. So who can perform bhakti? Okay. First of all, what is not bhakti? Second is what is bhakti? Then third, how to perform bhakti? Fourth is why to perform bhakti? Then fifth is who can perform bhakti? What is the qualification of the practitioner? And at last, he is telling where do we have to perform bhakti? So all the WH questions in English are answered in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Now, here a very senior devotee has told that actually this verse is made in the prescription metaphor. Okay, this verse is being rendered by Rupa Goswami in the way a physician gives a prescription. Okay, so sometimes when when the medicine is being given to that patient, so in that way, in that methodology, this bhakti solution or the bhakti medicine is being given to the fallen souls who are inflicted by material desire. Okay, so first of all, the very first process, the very first aspect which is favorable for devotional service is utsaha. What is the meaning of utsaha? Utsaha means basically enthusiasm. So first of all, when we take the medicine, we should have enthusiasm to take that medicine. If we have some disease, then we should have that enthusiasm. Okay. You should have that inclination or some type of enthusiasm that if I take this medicine, then my disease will go away. After having that enthusiasm, we should also have nishchaya. You should have some faith. Should have some faith that medicine will work. Okay, so you should have some faith. Otherwise, if you don't have faith, then you will not take that medicine, and then your disease will not be cured. So that's why after having enthusiasm to take some medicine, we should also have some faith that, okay, the doctor who is giving the medicine, we are having faith. Yes, we are having faith in the doctor, that doctor will, whatever he will prescribe the medicine, I should take it, and that medicine will cure me. After having faith, we should also have dhairya. Okay, we should also have dhairya. Be patient that medicine will work. Okay, basically in in Ayurveda. So if you take medicine, people will, oh, Prabhuji, I'm taking for 2 days, nothing is happening. Oh, be patient. So after maybe 1 week, that the result of the medicine will be visible in your will be visible. Okay, so you will be able to feel that. So that's why you should be patient. Okay, that medicine will work. And tat karma pravartanat. And then whatever do's and don'ts are given by doctor, you should follow that. So in the devotional sense, tat karma pravartanat means what? Prabhupada translated as acting according to regulative principles, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. So these are the regulative principles. So in the same way, the doctor prescribes, okay, so these are the do's and these are the don'ts. Okay, you have to follow. Otherwise, this medicine will not work. Again, if you don't follow these do's and don'ts, again, even if you take medicine, again, you have to come to me, and then, so that's no use. That's why you follow these do's and don'ts. Then Sangatyaga. And then doctor will tell, avoid people or things with infection. Okay. So after following do's and don'ts for the next, so that you don't have to take the medicine again and again, you should avoid something. You should avoid the things which will infect you. Okay. So that's why you should avoid these things with infection. And Sato Vritte is not that much related to our prescription metaphor. But also we can think about that, okay, Sato Vritte means following in the precepts of previous acharyas. And in that sense, we can also think that, okay, if a person who is healthy in our family members, if a person is very healthy and is following some regimen and is taking some healthy food, so we should follow them, okay, so that we will not become sick again. So in the same way, Rupa Goswami is telling the processes, okay, through which our bhakti can be cultivated favorably. Now, as I mentioned before, that the purport is actually mentioning what is not bhakti, what is bhakti, and how to perform bhakti, why perform bhakti, who can perform bhakti, and where to perform bhakti. So in that same way, we will study purport. Okay. Now, Srila Prabhupada is starting his purport with what is not bhakti actually. What is not bhakti? So the very first line, Prabhupada writes, devotional service is not a matter of sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. Its substance is practical activity. Very important. Sometimes people think, oh, we have so much emotions to the Lord, towards the Lord, so much bhava we have, so much sentiments we have. Okay. But they don't perform any services. They don't want to follow any regulative principles. And they don't want to follow the Upadesha, the instructions given in Bhagavad Gita. But they think, I love Krishna, I love God. And for some time, they will show some ecstatic symptoms and while doing bhajan kirtan. And while they are not doing this bhajan kirtan, in that free time, they will smoke cigarette and they will do all nonsense things. So what is the use of such type of devotion? This is useless. This is waste. And in this way, Lord Krishna will not be pleased. So love is actually exhibited by service. Okay. Prabhupada is writing devotional service. So Prabhupada did not translate bhakti as devotion or emotion, not in that way, but rather he translated it as devotional service. Okay. devotional service. The devotional service is not a matter of sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. You are just trying to, for some time, you will maybe, think about the Lord and you are having some ecstasy. Not like that. But its substance is practical activity. So Lord is telling you do service, you perform service. You are telling, I love Krishna, I love God. When Lord is prescribing something, when Lord is telling, Yat karoshi yadashnasi, yajjuhoshi dadasiya. So in that way, he's telling, everything you do, you offer it to me. And in that way, there are so many things. Whatever you do, you offer it first to the Lord and then take it. And you engage in my service. When Lord is telling, you are telling, no, I will not follow these things. Then how your love is exhibited? A father, he tells to his son, oh son, I love you. When son is telling, please buy me that toy, father is telling, no, I will not buy that toy, but I love you. Son will think, what type of love is this? This is all useless love. Yes, so that's why very important line, love is actually exhibited through service. If you love Krishna, if you love God, then you have to engage in the service of Krishna. You have to follow the instructions given in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. If you tell that I love Krishna, I love God, I have so much emotions, but I will not perform service, I will not obey the instructions given in Bhagavad Gita, then this love, Lord Krishna will think, what love is this? What type of love is this? This is all useless love. Yes, so that's why devotional service is not a matter of just sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy, but its substance is practical activity. So devotional service, definitely there is devotion. Okay, there is practical activity, definitely, but the devotion is there. So you are exhibiting your devotion through practical activity. So it's not just a matter of sentimental speculation or some type of ecstasy, but you perform some activity, some practical activity. Prabhupada used to give example of Rupa Goswami, so many Goswamis. They exhibited the love to Krishna, not just by meditating on Supreme Lord, doing some samadhi, some dhyan in Vrindavan and sitting idly, doing some idle meditation. No, they worked hard day and night. They wrote so many scriptures glorifying Krishna. They excavated so many places where Krishna performed his pastimes. And they followed all the orders of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave them 4 orders. So in that way, they obeyed all the orders given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and performed so much service day and night, maybe more service and more work even materialists perform. Even materialists, they work so much hard day and night to fill their belly. The devotees, they engage more than materialists. But for what? The purpose is different. From outside, from outwardly, maybe you would think, okay, even Krishna, even the devotee of Krishna and the materialist, they are engaging in the same thing. But the purpose is different. The materialist is trying to engage, is trying to satisfy his own senses, but the bhakta is trying to engage, is trying to satisfy the senses of Rishikesha, the master of senses. This is difference between a materialist and a devotee. So that's why Prabhupada is telling, it's clarifying the meaning of proper bhakti. So devotional service, that's why bhakti is translated as devotional service. Okay. Now Prabhupada is going to explain what is bhakti. So he's giving the evidence from Shastra. And he's quoting Sri Rupa Goswami again. Rupa Goswami has written another book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which Srila Prabhupada has again translated this book into English. The name of the book is The Nectar of Devotion. Rupa Goswami has defined devotional service as follows. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavrita anukulyana krishnanushilanam bhakti uttama. So Uttama Bhakti or unalloyed devotion unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna involves the rendering of devotional service in a way that is favorable to the Lord. Krishna Anushilana. You have to perform devotional service in a favorable way. Not that you perform devotional service and you do all nonsensical things. You smoke cigarette, you engage in establishing some lustful, some sexual relationships with other women. No, in that way, your bhakti will not be displayed. Lord Krishna will not be happy. You are not qualified. You cannot imitate the activities of the Lord. So that's why we have to perform devotional service in a favorable way, not in an unfavorable. This devotional service should be free from any extraneous motive and devoid of fruitive karma, impersonal jnana, and all other selfish desires. So, jnana karmadi anavritam. What is Uttama Bhakti or the best Bhakti, the unalloyed devotion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna? That is Uttama Bhakti, unalloyed. Unalloyed means not mixed with anything, not mixed with any processes, jnana, karma, or any other selfish motive desires. So this is the definition of bhakti, uttama bhakti, the highest bhakti. Okay. So we don't have to expect something. We don't have to have any motives, any extraneous motive in performing service to the Supreme Lord. Yes, Tanuja Mataji. So you can go on reading from Bhakti is a sort of cultivation. Yes.
Okay, Prabhuji. Bhakti is a sort of cultivation. As soon as we say cultivation, we must refer to activity. Cultivation of spirituality does not mean sitting down ideally for meditation, as some pseudo yogis teach. Such ideal meditations may be good for those who have no information of devotional service. And for this reason, it is sometimes recommended as a way to check destructing materialistic activities. Meditations means stopping all nonsensical activities, at least for the time being.
Yes.
Devotional service. Okay.
So here, yes, Madhuri. Okay, go on.
Devotional service, however, not only puts an end to all nonsensical mundane activities, but also engage one in meaningful devotional activities.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, Madhuri. Yes.
Prabhuji.
So Prabhupada is telling that this idle meditation, it may be good for some time only, at least for the time being. Maybe if you do some meditation, but if your mind is not controlled, then it will for some time, maybe for some time only, it will stop all nonsensical activities. For example, the same point what was explained by Srila Prabhupada in the context of Vacho Vegam. When we were discussing the very first verse of Sri Upadesamrita, the urge to speak. So at the same time, Prabhupada was explaining that if we follow that, okay, I will follow Mauna Vrata, okay, I will not speak for some time, then this will help in stopping your Vacho Vegam for some time only, okay, but not for a long time. Again, because that root desire, that sinful desire is not curbed, is not eradicated. That's why again and again, you will again and again end up in speaking nonsensical things. Okay. So bhakti is the right thing to control the urge of speech. Why? Because bhakti not only puts an end to all nonsensical mundane activities, but also engages one in meaningful devotional activities. So bhakti is a way through which you can automatically develop distaste in materialistic activities and materialistic topics. How? In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that Vishayavini vartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So a devotee, what does he do? He engages in the higher topics. He engages in hearing and discussing about higher topics. When he gets taste in higher topics, automatically he develops distaste in mere materialistic topics. So that's the very good actually way to control the urges of speech and other senses and mind. If we develop higher taste, then automatically we will develop distaste to the lower materialistic topics. So this thing we can also see in mundane way also. In mundane examples also we can quote so many things that how if we develop some higher taste, then automatically we develop lower taste in we develop lower taste in very materialistic or materialistic things. So now after explaining that bhakti is a sort of cultivation, Prabhupada is explaining how to perform bhakti. Okay, that bhakti is a sort of a cultivation. What is bhakti? Now Prabhupada will explain how to perform bhakti. So Shri Prahlad Maharaj recommends Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedam. The 9 processes of devotional service are as follows. First of all, Shravanam, hearing the name and glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Second, chanting his glories. Okay, Kirtanam. Vishnu, Kirtanam Vishnu. Then third is remembering the Lord, Smaranam. Fourth is serving the Lord's feet, okay, Pada Sevanam. Then fifth is worshipping the deity, Archanam. Sixth is offering obeisances unto the Lord, Vandanam. Acting as the Lord's servant, that is Dasyam. And 8 is making friends with the Lord, Sakhyam. Okay. And 9th is surrendering oneself fully to the Supreme Lord. Now, how we can cultivate bhakti, how we can perform bhakti. So Prabhupada is explaining that these are the processes, 9 processes, but we have to perform this 9 processes of devotional service by taking shelter of bona fide spiritual master. Not that we can independently engage in these activities, but the very first step in spiritual life is that we have to take shelter in the we have to take shelter of the bona fide spiritual master, and under his guidance we have to execute these 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam or hearing is the first step in acquiring transcendental knowledge. One should not give oral reception to unauthorized persons, but should approach the proper person, as recommended in the Bhagavad Gita. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashrena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively. Now, in this verse, Lord Krishna is explaining how do we have to approach Guru. We have to inquire from him how submissively, not arrogantly, not in the way of challenging Guru. This is very important. We have to inquire from spiritual master in a submissive mood. And what is that? Pariprashnena sevaya. Sevaya means we have to render service unto him. These 2 things. We have to learn the truth by approaching spiritual master, and we have to inquire from him submissively, and we have to render service unto him. Then what will happen? The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Jnaninaha tattva darshinaha. So he has seen the truth. That's why he can do upadekshanti te jnanam. He can impart knowledge unto you. Then what is the qualification of the disciple? He has to inquire from spiritual master in a submissive mood, and he has to render service. Okay. It is further recommended in the Mundaka Upanishad, Tad Vijnanartham sa gurumeva vikacchi. To understand that transcendental science, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master. Thus, this method of submissively receiving transcendental confidential knowledge is not merely based on mental speculation. In this regard, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Rupa Goswami, Brahmanda Pramite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Seva Pai, Bhakti Lata. In the course of traversing the universal creation of Brahma, some fortunate soul may receive the seed of Bhakti Lata, the creeper of devotional service. This is all by the grace of Guru and Krishna. So, when a person, he inquires the Guru, the spiritual master in a submissive mood, and he renders service unto him, the spiritual master, he imparts realized knowledge. Okay. So under the shelter of bona fide spiritual master, he has to engage in the 9 processes of devotional service. Okay. So very first, the Prabhupada explained what is bhakti, what is not bhakti, then how to perform bhakti. And in that only, in how to perform bhakti, he is giving the method that we have to approach spiritual master first of all. Okay. And by taking shelter of him, by inquiring the truth of about Lord, we can understand the proper devotional science. After explaining how to perform bhakti, the Prabhupada is explaining why do we have to perform bhakti actually? Why do we have to perform? Prabhupada is telling the material world is a place of confinement for the living entities who are by nature anandamaya, pleasure seeking. They actually want to be free from the confinement of this world, of conditional happiness. But not knowing the process of liberation, they are bound to transmigrate from one species of life to another, and from one planet to another. Okay, so that's why dukkhalayam ashashvati. This material world is place of confinement, and the swarupa of the living entity is anandamayo bhyasat. All the living entities in this material world, they are seeking happiness. Why? Because in their constitutional position, is anandamayo bhyasa. So every time they have to experience happiness. Okay. But because we are in this material world, which is a place of confinement, and you cannot, which is a prison for a soul, so he will never experience happiness in this material world. Because by nature, Lord Krishna is stamped the material world as the place of distress, dukkhalayam. And that's why if we want to come out of this confinement of the world and reinstitute in our constitutional position, then we have to perform bhakti under the shelter of bona fide spiritual master. Now, Prabhupada is explaining who can perform. What are the qualifications? What is the qualification that we have to perform bhakti? So who can perform bhakti? Such an opportunity is offered to a person who is sincere. Advancement in devotional service depends on the attitude of the follower. If you remember, this the statement was written by Srila Prabhupada in the preface of Sri Upadesamrita. Prabhupada is writing that attitude, all advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude. So that attitude, what type of attitude should we develop? That attitude is described here. Such an opportunity is offered to a person who is sincere. Sincerity. One should be sincere actually. If a person is sincere and is inquisitive, a person who is sincere and in that way, by good fortune, he will come to a pure devotee, and in that way, he will hear from him patiently, and then he will perform the 9 processes of devotional service. Then only he can come out of this confinement of this world. Okay. So sincerity is very important aspect. We should develop sincerity. Okay. Where to perform bhakti? Okay. Now Prabhupada explained who can perform bhakti, the qualification of a practitioner of bhakti. After explaining what is the place where bhakti can be performed favorably, where is the place? So Prabhupada is telling the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is giving such a chance to humanity at large. If by fortune one takes advantage of this opportunity to engage in devotional service, the path of liberation immediately opens. So the place that we can perform bhakti, Prabhupada is writing, is giving this chance to humanity at large. This is international society, not national society, or not only confined to in Europe or to this certain countries. No, Krishna consciousness can be developed by every living entity. That's why Prabhupada is writing International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So this is the place where we can perform bhakti, where we can get association of spiritual master and other devotees, so that we can favorably cultivate our bhakti process. Now, after explaining what are the what is the meaning of bhakti and who can perform bhakti and where do we have to perform bhakti, after explaining all these things, Prabhupada is explaining, Prabhupada is elaborating now what are the favorable conditions where bhakti can be performed. What are the favorable conditions a practitioner should inculcate to perform bhakti? So now Prabhupada is going to explain the 6 favorable conditions for bhakti. So the very first step, the very first favorable thing in bhakti is utsaha, enthusiasm. One should accept this opportunity to return home back to Godhead very enthusiastically. Without enthusiasm, one cannot be successful. So Prabhupada is writing, why enthusiasm? Is quoting mundane example. Even in the material world, one has to be very enthusiastic in his particular field of activity in order to become successful. Yes, we can see in every field you take, man, even it may be educational field or it may be economical field, or if you want to earn money, you have to be enthusiastic. You should have that inclination, you should have that driving force, so that okay, if I do this, if I do this work enthusiastically, then I will get result of that. So in every field of activity, if you want to become successful, you have to be enthusiastic. You have to be enthusiastic. A student, businessman, artist, or anyone else who wants success in his line must be enthusiastic. Similarly, one has to be very enthusiastic in devotional service. Enthusiasm means action, but action for whom? The answer is that one should always act for Krishna, Krishnarthe Akhila Chesta. So people, they in every field they develop enthusiasm. But Prabhupada is writing here, utsaha means enthusiasm for what? Enthusiasm for for serving the Supreme Lord. Not that we perform a bhakti to satisfy our desires. Not for that. We don't have to enthusiastically perform bhakti so that Krishna may satisfy our desires, not that our desires may be fulfilled. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavrtam. There should be no abhilasha. There should be no motivation in the sense that we should not expect something from the Lord, but it should be unmotivated, only to please the Supreme Lord. Now Prabhupada is again pointing out, enthusiasm means action. So as Prabhupada in the very first line he mentioned, no, devotional service means not just sentimental activity or some sentimental, some speculation or imaginative expression. One second. Yes. So again, he's pointing out to the point that bhakti means practical activity. Bhakti means cultivation. Cultivation involves practical activity. So that's why bhakti should be performed enthusiastically. Yes, there should be enthusiasm, and enthusiasm means action. Okay. Now, Prabhupada is going on explaining that nothing is independent of Krishna. Okay. So, in order to attain perfection in Bhakti Yoga, one has to perform devotional activities under the direction of the spiritual master in all phases of life. It is not that one has to confine or narrow one's activities. Krishna is all pervading, therefore, nothing is independent of Krishna, as Krishna himself states in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina matsthani sarvabhutani nachaham teshavasti. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Okay. So, whatever things we are seeing in this material world, they don't exist they don't exist separate from the existence of Krishna. It's not that there is something which is existing independently or which is out of control of Lord. No. Material world is considered to be Bahiranga Shakti of the Lord. And that's why it's not independent. It's the energy. And energy cannot exist without the existence of energetic. That is Krishna. So now here, as Prabhupada is explaining about enthusiasm, he is explaining that all the activities we engage, so all the things we acquire, that all things we have to apply, we have to engage in the service of the Lord. So under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master, one has to make everything favorable for Krishna's service. It does not mean that, oh, now I am going to perform bhakti, so I have to narrow my activities, I have to confine my activities. No, Prabhupada is saying nothing. Don't narrow your activities. You just change the object of your service. Okay. Yes. So that's why we have to make everything favorable for Krishna's service. We have to just change the object of our seva, of our service. So we have to engage all the things which we use in the service of Lord. That is the principle of Yukta Vairagya. For example, at present we are using a dictaphone. The materialist who invented this machine intended it for businessmen or writers of mundane subject matters. He certainly never thought of using the dictaphone in God's service. But we are using the dictaphone to write Krishna conscious literature. Of course, the manufacture of the dictaphone is wholly within the energy of Krishna. All the parts of the instrument, including the electronic functions, are made from different combinations and interactions of the 5 basic types of material energy, namely Bhumi, Jal, Agni, Vayu, and Akash. So the inventor used his brain to make this complicated machine, and his brain as well as the ingredients was supplied by Krishna. So everything was supplied by Krishna, and that's why, according to the statement of Krishna, Matsthani Sarva Bhutani, everything is depending on my energy. Thus the devotee can understand that since nothing is independent of Krishna's energy, everything should be dovetailed in his service. Okay. So now what is Utsaha? Endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness is called Utsaha or enthusiasm. Now, Prabhupada is writing that we have to endeavor definitely, just as for any field, in any field, if you want to succeed, then you have to do endeavor. You have to have enthusiasm. So similarly, if you want to succeed in Krishna consciousness, in spiritual life, then you should have enthusiasm. But that enthusiasm should be backed up with intelligence. Enthusiasm, see, very important. Why Prabhupada is writing that endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness? This is called Utsaha. Why that intelligence in Krishna consciousness is being used? See, enthusiasm is no replacement for competence. If you do not know cooking, you should have intelligence to at least ask someone who knows. Okay. So it does not mean that, okay, I have so much enthusiasm and that's why I can just succeed in any field. So enthusiasm is there definitely, but it's not a replacement for competence. Yes, it's not a replacement of competence. You have to have that enthusiasm, okay, and you have to cultivate enthusiasm in an intelligent way. For example, if you do not know cooking, then what you have to do? You have to ask someone who has that intelligence, who knows how to cook. So you should have that intelligence that to at least ask someone who knows. You are having so much enthusiasm that I have to cook. But if you do not have intelligence how to cook, then what will happen? If you do not know how to cook, then you will end up in burning the sabji or anything, burning the food. That's why you should have intelligence, that you will ask someone how to cook. That's why our endeavor, our enthusiasm should be backed up with intelligence. We should have enthusiasm, but that enthusiasm should be backed up with intelligence. We get by the instructions of spiritual master. Okay, that's why we have to execute bhakti under the orders, under the shelter of one of my spiritual master. Spiritual master will guide your activities. Not that independently a person may think, okay, now independently whatever rules and regulations are mentioned in Shastras, I will immediately start. Okay. Not like that. You have to take shelter of one of my spiritual master, and under him, you have to execute devotional activities. Okay. Then Prabhupada is going on explaining about Nishchaya and Dhairya, confidence and patience. These activities must be executed with patience. One should not be impatient in Krishna consciousness. Very important. You should have dhairyata. You should have patience. You will never get any success in life if you don't have patience. So even if you want to succeed in any field, you should have patience. So Prabhupada is giving his own example. Indeed, this Krishna consciousness movement was started single-handedly. And in the beginning, there was no response. But because we continued to execute our devotional activities with patience, people gradually began to understand the importance of this movement. And now they are eagerly participating. Yes. So Prabhupada himself, single-handedly, he started this ISKCON movement. And in beginning, maybe you will not get so much response, but he was patient. In beginning, there was no success. He did not find any success. But eventually, when he when he preached with patience, then slowly, the people, they started taking interest in this movement. And now you see, they are eagerly participating. Then Prabhupada is telling one should not be impatient in discharging devotional service, but should take instructions from the spiritual master and execute them with patience, depending on the mercy of Guru and Krishna. So you have to depend on the mercy of Guru and Krishna. You definitely have to be patient, and you have to be dependent on the mercy of Guru and Krishna. The successful execution of Krishna conscious activities requires both patience and confidence. So Prabhupada is also explaining about dhairya and also confidence or nishchayata. You have to be confident that that medicine will work. Yes. Now, Prabhupada is giving a mundane example. A newly married girl naturally expects offspring from her husband, but she cannot expect to have them immediately after marriage. Of course, as soon as she is married, she can attempt to get a child, but she must surrender to her husband, confident that her child will develop and be born in due time. Yes. So newly married girl, she has to be patient and she also has to be confident. She cannot expect offspring immediately. So she has to be patient and then confident that in due course of time, child will get born. Similarly, in devotional service, surrender means that one has to be confident. You have to be confident that this Krishna process will work. The devotee have to cultivate confidence. Of course, there is dhairyata, there is patience, but you should also be confident that this process will work. Okay, then only you will be patient. No, if you don't have faith that this Krishna conscious process will not work, then you will not be patient. You'll be impatient. You will leave this process. That's why both are important. You should also cultivate patience also, and also nishchaya or confidence that this process will work. Eventually, sometimes devotees tell, "Oh, Prabhuji, I am practicing. I am chanting for some years, but I'm not still finding any change in my heart." So Slowly, slowly. Okay. Because since time immemorial, we are rotting in this material world, and so many anarthas are there. And that's why it will take so much time to clean our heart. Yes. So that's why we should execute devotional service in a we should cultivate patience, and we should also cultivate confidence. So in that way, we have to perform devotional service. Then only we can expect the successful achievement. Okay. So in this way, now we covered three aspects which are favorable for our execution and devotional service. That is enthusiasm. First of all, you have to be enthusiastic to take up Krishna consciousness. And after cultivating an enthusiasm, you should have that intelligence. That enthusiasm should be backed up with intelligence. You should approach a guru. You should approach spiritual master who can guide your activities in spiritual life. So independently, you cannot execute devotion activities, but you must take shelter of one of our spiritual master. Then a person, that person who has seen the truth, Tattva Darshina, when you will approach him in a submissive mood and in a servitude manner, then that guru will impart divine knowledge. And also, along with cultivating enthusiasm, you should also develop patience. You should have faith. You should have that little bit patience. Okay, bhakti, whatever I'm following, initially maybe some major change I cannot see, but eventually when I just go on performing these devotion activities, I will definitely experience some change in my heart. Okay. And along with patience, you should have confident. You should be confident. You should have complete faith that, okay, the process which I'm actually taking up, which I'm performing, the devotional process, the devotional service, you should be confident that this process of devotional service will work. And in this way, if you cultivate all the 6 favorable things, then Prabhupada is telling, Rupa Goswami is telling, undoubtedly you will achieve success in spiritual life. Shadbir Bhaktiv Prasiddhyati. There is no doubt about it. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. So that's why in our practical life, we should try to inculcate these things. We should be enthusiastic in performing devotional activities. Not that after some time we will, we will actually, if we don't develop enthusiasm, then after some time we will become lethargic. We will end up in leaving all these devotional activities. So that's why we should always be enthusiastic, and we should be nishchaya, or confident that this devotional service will work, this process will work. And along with that, we should have dhairya. We should inculcate patience. And then later, tat krama pravartana. This is also very important. We have to act according to the regulatory principles. Okay, that is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Arshanam, Vandanam, Dasam, Sakhyam Atmanam. Then again, Sangatyaga. Okay, Sangatyaga is leaving the association of non-devotees. Sato Vritte. We have to follow in the footsteps of previous acharyas. The previous acharyas, if you follow their activities, if you do anusarana, if you follow in the footsteps of them, then definitely you can succeed in spiritual life. Okay. So in next class, we will discuss the remaining principles of favorable execution of pure devotional service. Okay. Today's class, we discuss the 3 principles, that is Utsaha, Nishchaya, and Dhairya. So anyone has any question, any doubts, or any comments?
Prabhuji, I had a question.
Yes.
I wanted to ask that in the journey of your spirituality, or in the path of bhakti, when is the right time to take shelter of a spiritual master?
Yes. Very nice question. So in the ISKCON movement, okay, now we have got so many books. Okay, we are reading the books given by Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada is the Siksha Guru of all the devotees who are there in ISKCON movement. So now, if you try to, if you read the knowledge there in Bhagavad Gita on Srimad Bhagavatam, then definitely automatically you take shelter of bona fide specialists, because you have that faith, you have developed faith that this person who is writing the purports on Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and if I follow that, then definitely this will work. So you have that faith in the Guru. So automatically when you read the scriptures, okay, if you read Bhagavad Gita as it is Srimad Bhagavatam, then you have already taken shelter of bona fide spiritual master. Okay, you have already taken shelter in the sense you have that preliminary faith that whatever that Guru is speaking, this will work. And eventually, when your faith is developed more, and when you start practicing the devotional activities and you start associating with other devotees, then you can take diksha or initiation from a spiritual master. So Srila Prabhupada has given this process that eventually a person, when he's advanced, when he performs faith in bhakti, then he can take the initiation from a spiritual master who is present, who is visually present. So then he can guide us, he can guide our activities. And whatever problems we are facing, we can ask him and we can take guidance from him. But automatically, when your spiritual life actually begins, when you start reading, okay, when you start reading about the devotional service, the devotional science, which is present in the books rendered by Srila Prabhupada. So this is the process actually. If you start reading, then automatically you have developed faith in Srila Prabhupada. And eventually, when you have developed faith more and you start associating with other devotees, okay, and you have properly understood, okay, so this bhakti process will work, and I'm completely assured about that, then you can take initiation from a spiritual master. So that's the process actually.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji,
Yes.
I want to ask you a question. When we are saying that only bhakti should be done, that means,
Yes.
and we are saying everything related with science and all, everything should be, we should not bother about them, we should not take care about them. I mean, in this world, then how will it be possible that everybody is just a devotee? I mean, everybody is a devotee, and or no other activity but is done. See, even to build our temples also, we have to, we are taking, say like consideration from people who are running factories and who are producing things, isn't it?
Yeah, Prabhu. Yes. Yes. So mainly you're asking that, okay, I will speak in Hindi. तो जैसे कि आप पूछ रहे हैं कि यदि सभी लोग भक्ति में लग जाएंगे तो दूसरे एक्टिविटीज जो लोग कर रहे हैं तो उसका क्या होगा? यस, इसलिए मैंने जब मैंने बताया इसके विषय में कि युक्त वैराग्य, ये जो तात्पर्य में देखेंगे प्रभुपाद युक्त वैराग्य का पॉइंट बता रहे कि हम लोग को ऐसा नहीं करना है। जैसे एक सेकंड में आपको वो लाइन बताता हूँ प्रभुपाद क्या बता रहे हैं कि yes, in order to attain perfection in bhakti yoga, one has to perform devotional activities under the direction of the spiritual master in all phases of life. It is not that one has to confine or narrow one's activities. तो ऐसा नहीं करना है कि हम लोगों को भक्ति करना है मतलब सभी को छोड़ दो, सभी हमारे अपने जो एक्टिविटीज है उसको छोड़ दो और बस पूरा दिन श्रवणम कीर्तनम करते हो। अभी हमारे बॉडी को मेंटेन करने के लिए हम लोग दूसरे भी एक्टिविटीज करते हैं। यस, तो इसलिए प्रभुपाद बोल रहे हैं कि जो भी चीज ये मटेरियल वर्ल्ड में, ये भौतिक जगत में है, ये सब कृष्ण से अलग नहीं है। और इसके वजह से हमारा कर्तव्य है कि हम लोग सभी चीजों को कृष्ण की सेवा में लगाएं। जैसे मान लीजिए हम लोग टेम्पल बिल्डिंग करते हैं तो क्या करते हैं, हम लोग स्टोन को कार्विंग कर रहे हैं, कुछ और सेवा कर रहे हैं, झाड़ू पोछा लगा रहे हैं, या तो मनी कुछ धन हम लोग बाहर जाकर हम लोग कलेक्ट कर रहे हैं। तो ये सब जो सेवाएं जो है ये सब किसके लिए कर रहे हैं, भगवान की प्रसन्नता के लिए। इसके वजह से डिवोशनल सर्विस मतलब ये नहीं कि श्रवणम कीर्तनम स्वरूप सिद्धा भक्ति है, डेफिनेटली वो स्वरूप भक्ति, लेकिन हम लोग जो भी यूज करते हैं, जो भी हम लोग चीजें जो करते हैं वो सब हमको भगवान की सेवा में हमको नियुक्त करना चाहिए, कि भगवान की सेवा में हम लोग को लगाना चाहिए। तो ये चीज है, ऐसा नहीं कि हम लोग अपने एक्टिविटीज को बंद कर दे और बस हम लोग कर भी नहीं सकते। अपने बॉडी को मेंटेन करने के लिए हम लोग को ये सब खाना पीना सोना ये सब बेसिक एक्टिविटीज, ठीक है, तो बेसिक एक्टिविटीज तो करना पड़ेगा। और बेसिक एक्टिविटीज जो हम लोग कर रहे हैं उसे हम लोग भगवान कृष्ण की सेवा में पहले लगाएंगे। जैसे हम लोग प्रसाद करते हैं, पहले प्रसाद हम लोग बनाते हैं तो पहले भगवान को ऑफर करते हैं, बाद में लेते हैं। उसी प्रकार से कुछ भी हम लोग लेते हैं, कुछ भी हम लोग अक्वायर करते हैं, वो सब हम लोग भगवान की प्रसन्नता के लिए लगाते हैं। तो ये चीज है, क्योंकि सभी कुछ भगवान की एनर्जी है, इसके वजह से हम लोग को भगवान की सेवा में लगाना है, और ये साक्षात भक्ति है। यस
जी, थैंक यू प्रभु जी, थैंक यू, आई अंडरस्टैंड।
जैसे प्रभुपाद एग्जांपल दे रहे हैं इसमें, जब प्रभुपाद ये जो उपदेशामृत है इसके पर्पस को डिक्टेट कर रहे थे तो डिक्टाफोन सामने था। तो प्रभुपाद ने एग्जांपल दे दिया कि जैसे कि हम लोग डिक्टाफोन है, ये डिक्टाफोन किसी मटेरियलिस्ट ने बनाया है, कोई किसी साइंटिस्ट ने बनाया, और बाद में ये बिजनेसमैन साइंटिस्ट ने बनाया, और ये डिक्टाफोन बिजनेसमैन और या तो कोई मंडियन सब्जेक्ट मैटर्स को राइट करने के लिए हम लोग यूज कर सकते। लेकिन हम लोग डिवोटीज क्या कर रहे हैं, ये सेम जो डिक्टाफोन है जो भगवान की एनर्जी है, तो हम लोग भगवान की सेवा में लगा रहे हैं। ये जो लक्ष्मी जो है ये भगवान की वाइफ है, भगवान की सेविका है, और इसके वजह से हम लोग को लक्ष्मी या धन हम लोग को भगवान की सेवा में लगाना चाहिए
जी।
तो दिस इज प्रॉपर युक्त वैराग्य प्रिंसिपल। अनासक्तस्य विषयाम यथार्हम उपयुञ्जतः निर्बंधे कृष्ण संबंधे युक्तम वैराग्यम उच्यते। तो यू डोंट हैव टू बी अटैच्ड, हमको बिल्कुल भी अपने जो ये जो भी थिंग्स जो हम लोग एक्वायर किए हैं बिल्कुल भी हमको अटैच नहीं होना चाहिए। अनासक्तस्य विषय, लेकिन यथार्हम उपयुञ्जतः, ये सभी कुछ को युंजन करना, वो किसमें हम लोग को अप्लाई करना या लगाना है। निर्बंधे कृष्ण संबंधे, we have to apply, we have to engage all these things in the service of Supreme Lord, and this is called yukta vairagya uchyate, and this is favorable for our devotional service.
जी, थैंक यू प्रभु जी,
Thank you. Okay, so we will conclude here by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you for coming. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण,
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, हरे
Krishna Prabhuji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु।
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.